The exhaustive 2023 Lancet countdown on health and climate change has flagged the enormous and alarming real-time cost on lives and livelihoods. Not just projections, these. According to the study, even at the current 10-year average of increase in temperatures, people experienced 86 days of health-threatening high temperatures. This is between 2018 and 2022. 85% increase in deaths of people over the age of 65 between 2013 to 2022 when compared to 1991-2000. Remember, 2023 is the hottest year in recorded history, and the report also flags an increase of 0.5 degrees in the baseline average of temperatures between 2018 and 2022 when compared to 1986 to 2005. Quantifying the loss, the report claims that 191 billion potential labor hours were lost due to heat exposure last year, and that agriculture workers were the hardest hit as expected, losing 64% potential labor hours and 55% of their potential income. Obviously, these are not just numbers flashing on your screens. Look around, and the impact of climate change is extremely palpable. Joining me this evening, Dr. Sunila Garg, member of Lancet Commission COVID India Task Force, and G.V. Ramanjalelu of the Centre for Sustainable Agriculture. Dr. Sunila, first to you. Just detail for us the study that's come out and the importance of it at this juncture.
Thank you, Dr. Veera Raghav. What I would like to say is that at this point of time, this study is extremely important because we have been talking about climate change since, the Lancet Commission was established, but we have to know that, overall, this has got 360-degree impact on human life. That is one thing we have to notice, and we have to see that whether, in terms of physical health, mental health, or the man hours lost, or exposure to as early as, we are talking about infants or our elderly, everyone is affected. And as it has been really pointed out, that we have, lot of man hours lost, due to, and which leads to loss of productivity. Along with that, we have increased morbidity as well as mortality. So not only it affects the physical health, it affects the mental health as well. So this is where it is to caution, because when we are experiencing on one hand drought, on second hand we are experiencing floods. You see, we need to be very cautious about this, all these findings, because, whether we talk of deforestation, whether we talk of, increased urbanization, all these things have got our effect on health. Plus, increase in use of biomass and, our renewable energy coming to very, we are using only 2% of the renewable energy. So all these things are very, very, kind of, troubling to us. And I feel that from a public health perspective, we need to take a very serious view of this study, and then accordingly we need to go into this direction as far as actionable points are concerned, because we not only talk of agricultural laborers but construction workers also, they're equally affected. But the study has pointed out about 55% of
large physical labor population is the one worst hit, as we expect. None of these is against conventional logic. Mr. Ramanjalelu, the impact on agriculture, disproportionate, given the other pressures that it faces, it's something that a country like India needs to be extremely worried about.
Yes, climate change impacts agriculture, and agriculture also is impacting on climate change. So both is mutually impacting. And unfortunately, current public policies in terms of promoting cropping patterns or crop production practices are all promoting models which are further degenerating the environment. So, if you look at the large-scale rice and wheat cropping systems in Punjab, Haryana, which is responsible for the entire stubble burning, and has not been addressed at all in the last, say, 20 years. We are seeing that every winter Delhi gets choked up, but no effort has been made to reduce the area under rice and wheat in Punjab and Haryana. And similarly, the kind of chemical fertilizer use which is happening, and its impact on environment is never seen. And while we talked about the climate change impact on labor, the climate change impact on crop productivity is also significant. The crop losses have increased significantly, and the insurance systems have failed. And in that situation, the incomes of the farmers are getting affected. That's what we are seeing. But when we look at from a policy side, say from insurance point of view, providing health services to the people has not adapted to the new scenario. So we have not changed our practices to adapt to the new scenario, and that's where actually the problem lies. So we need to look at how this can be done. So though there is a national action plan on climate change, none of these indicators are tracked by the governments. None of them. They don't track. If you look at recent reports, shows that we don't track any of these.
Question to you, Mr. Ramanjanelu. A very honest
please.
question to you, Mr. Ramanjanelu, and then to Dr. Sunila. Are these just numbers that once, okay, you see it, you get scared, and then you say, okay, fine, let's get on with it. It doesn't really matter. Is the spirit of these numbers that what they're aimed at to ensure that there is a psychological fundamental change, is that even being effective at the grassroots? Quickly.
I think the numbers are really shocking, and it's time to act. And so just talking on platforms saying we'll become net zero by 2070 doesn't help unless we take steps towards that. So the steps towards that are to be in terms of changing the practices which we are following, changing the cropping patterns we are following. But at the same time, adaptation is also very important. Climate change exists over there, and what is already there,
last word
you
from you,
can't
Dr.
change.
Sunila.
Yeah, I feel that, these
Quick last
indicators,
word
they
from you,
are
Dr.
very,
Sunila.
yeah, these indicators are very, very important from the perspective of taking actionable points. So ultimately we need to look at, I was pointing out earlier, we need to look at this whole, program from a 360-degree perspective, from the environmental perspective, from our actions perspective, use of biomass or, fossil mass and all that. We need to look at for that part also. We need to look at what are the reasons for climate
Right.
change. As I was telling you, whether we talk of deforestation, whether we talk of increased urbanization, industrialization, vehicular part, everything, why the heat is increasing. So that is where, because ultimately when you talk of the number of labor hours lost or, affecting the mental health, all these things are very important.
Right. Our time is running out in the planet, and it will run out much faster if we don't address climate change. Unfortunately, time's running out on the show as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunila and Mr. Ramanjanelu, for joining us this evening. That's all we have time for on the Southern View, but the news continues here on NDTV.